Caleb hesitated. "Don't forget, you promised you'd talk to Doc Myers." "I haven't forgotten," she said, dreading the thought of, yet again, going against her father's wishes, this time on her brother's behalf. All she seemed to do lately was defy her father's wishes. Since her brother made no motion to leave, she made an impatient gesture. "Go on, be gone with you. If you don't hurry, you'll be late for work. And you know how Papa feels about tardiness." Caleb's face grew somber, as it tended to do whenever anyone mentioned his job at his father's store. A surge of sympathy rushed through her. Caleb wanted to be a doctor in the worst possible way, but Papa was dead set against it. "I'll talk to Doc Myers, Caleb. I told you I would. Now scat." "Promise?" "Promise." Caleb sauntered back to the wagon a short distance away and, out of habit, checked the mule's leg. Moses had originally been owned by the pastor, who couldn't bear to see him put down when he became lame. Instead, he gave the mule to Caleb, who nursed it back to health. The animal had served the family faithfully ever since. "Attaboy," Caleb said, patting the mule's rump. He scrambled up the side of the wagon and hopped into the seat. Fairbanks General Merchandise was written on the wooden sides. Whooping at the top of his lungs, he grabbed the reins and drove off, making enough noise to raise the dead, and probably scaring away every living creature within miles. Lucy watched her brother with a fond smile, then immediately went to work setting up her camera. That annoying Mr. Barnes and his wild Mustang. Next, he'd have her chasing after ghosts. Of course, she wouldn't mind chasing after the rumored Rocky Creek wild man, who was as elusive as a ghost, if he really existed. Anything would be better than spending long hours trying to get a photograph of a stallion that might be nothing more than a fanciful legend. Sighing, she released the brass lock of her camera and carefully pulled out the folding lens. The maroon-colored bellows stretched out a full 15 inches, and she secured the extended part to the branch as well. Once she was satisfied that her precious camera was safe, she reached into the satchel attached to another branch for a dry gelatin plate. Though such plates were expensive, they saved her from having to worry about them drying out before they were developed. They also saved her the hassle of having to cart along her darkroom tent and chemicals. She inserted the dry plate into the camera, then pulled a black cloth from her pocket and draped it over the back of the camera to prevent light from reaching the focusing screen. Squinting through the viewfinder, she made a few adjustments with a turn of a knob. From her perch, she could clearly see the meadow, a favorite grazing spot for wild horses, deer, and elk. Behind her, the Rocky Creek River wound its way through the valley, its fast-moving waters tumbling over a series of small waterfalls as it elbowed its way to the river below. What if her father was right, and no such white stallion existed? If she didn't find the Mustang, her career as a newspaper photographer was doomed before it began. Unless, of course, she found something even more impressive to photograph, like the so-called Rocky Creek wild man. "Just you wait, Mr. Jacoby Barnes," she muttered. "My photographs are going to make your newspaper the most popular one in all of Texas." Contemplating success, she surveyed the far horizon. May was her favorite time of year. The meadow looked like an artist's palette, and red, yellow, and blue wildflowers filled the air with sweet perfume. Sweeter still was the high, thin sound of a warbler's song. A cloud of dust in the distance caught her attention. Moving a leafy branch aside, she could just make out the silhouettes of 3 horsemen racing toward her. The horsemen drew nearer, strangers by the looks of them. Instead of passing on the road below, they cut across